All right, YouTube. This Detroit's HPTV coming to you on this Thursday morning. Got an interesting video for you, a clip. Now, the other day I've been looking at how the United States election season is being viewed in other countries, and one of them that I really like is uh, Sky News out of Australia. There's a lot of people that are subscribers to this channel that also watch Sky News out of Australia. Because I think on another level, American people are too uh, close to the situation. I think they need to see what the rest of the world looks, how the rest of the world looks at our election season. Hold on 1 minute. Okay. Other countries like Great Britain, China, Russia. You can only imagine how Russia looks at the United States and the Middle East. But Australia, they have this interesting take on it. And this particular segment coming out of Australia is called Lefties Losing It. And what it does, it shows you the idiocy of the Democratic Party, the idiocy of Kamala Harris. You have to kind of be brain dead to vote Democrat this election season. Their whole policy is, like I said, late term, termination of pregnancy, open borders, gender reassignment for children, tampons in the boys' bathroom. You know what they want. But I want you to check out this clip of lefties losing it out of Australia. You tell me what you think in the comments. This for fair use since the 1976 Copyright Act, education, and commentary. Check this out.
There is this. Watch this leftist TikToker lose her mind and vandalize the flag display at a Greek restaurant in New Jersey because she thought the Greek flag was the Israeli flag, and apparently that entitles her to act like this. I'm about to come back and put Free Palestine too. Free Palestine. Look, what you looking at? You know damn well that it's a genocide. You know there's a genocide. Now stop it. I'm taking it down. I believe this one. Take this one down right here. I don't stand for this. There's genocide, and I don't stand for Zionism. And Montclair, I don't support it. There's a genocide. You know that, right? They're killing children. What's the purpose? Be proud of your heritage. Y'all understand there's a genocide, right? Yeah, that guy's face says it all. Now, let's see how this lefty losing it reacts when told that she's attacking a Greek restaurant and tearing down Greek flags. But this is not okay.
This is Greeky.
Who's this?
This is Greeky.
What? Really?
Greeky.
Yeah. Oh, I thought it was Israel. My bad. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. It looked like Israel. Okay, well, you want it back?
A loser husband like Kevin was the last thing his wife Lily wanted. Kevin was called a bum.
You want your flag displayer just tore down back? Unbelievable. Just as unbelievable is the fact that that idiot chose to post that on social media. It's almost funny until you realize these people vote. And when it comes to their vote, you know they ain't voting for Donald Trump. Democrats count on low information voters who consume trash like this.
If Donald Trump does win, there won't be Democrats go back and figure out how to get more voters and figure out how to change your positions. There will be camps. There will be Project 2025. There could be arrests of people like Adam Schiff. There could be Nancy Pelosi being hauled off to jail.
There will be camps. Project 25, they are unwrapped.
What's crazy about how the Democrats is playing it with their scare tactics, that they only appeal to cowards. When they be talking about, oh, they're going to put you back in chains. Ain't nobody putting black men back in chains. Have you ever seen a prison riot? Have you ever seen when black men really don't want to go for it? Ain't nobody ever putting us back in no chains. Think about that. But they will tell you that to get your vote. They'll tell you about Project 2025 as if we don't already know Trump has nothing to do with it. It was written by the Heritage Foundation. The Democrats are so dirty in their politics, and then their policies is so wicked with the late term termination of pregnancy, their regender assignment of children, even in their elevation of women over men. Everything they do is anti-God, anti-Christian, anti-Christ, and they push it down your throat as a politic. She's sitting there lying, talking about what Donald Trump would do if he was elected. Didn't Donald Trump win an election and was president for 4 years? And we had a better economy and a closed border? They playing in your face at this point.
As for Nancy Pelosi being hauled off to jail, you mean like the lawfare that's been unleashed on Republicans in recent years, the sham cases against Donald Trump? Democrats shamelessly weaponize the justice system and then they play the victim. This is classic cry bully behavior. Let's go to the lefty lunatic asylum that is MSNBC now. Here is Mara Gay from the New York Times claiming that men who listen to Joe Rogan need therapy and could be fascists.
Not all men are just at home listening to Joe Rogan, being angry or being recruited to fascism. Some just need therapy, like we all do. I go to therapy, that's great.
Good luck with the therapy, but perhaps take a class in English as well so you know what words like fascism actually mean. And a math class wouldn't go astray either. Remember, this is the same Mara Gay who said this on MSNBC.
Somebody tweeted recently that actually with the money he spent, he could have given every American $1 million.
I got it. Let's put it up on the screen. When I read it tonight on social media, it kind of all became clear. Bloomberg spent $500 million on ads. U.S. population 327 million. Don't tell us if you're ahead of us on the math. He could have given each American $1 million and have had lunch money left over. It's an incredible way of putting it.
It's an incredible way of putting it. It's true. It's disturbing.
It's true, yeah. It'd be true if America's population was 327, not 327 million. These are the people who think they're your moral and intellectual superiors, and they're idiots. Why don't we now check in?
Did you hear that math? She said that he could give every American $1 million out of the 327 million he spent. She forgot that there are 327 million Americans. So if he gave 327 individual Americans $1 million, she would be correct. If they would just separate all the rest of them and have 327 over here, just 327. 100, 200, 300, 27. Give all of them, that's 327 million. Now, what does it look like if he give 327 million people $1 million out of 327 million? The math is crazy. You know what I mean? The math is crazy. She can't even figure out that 327 people giving $1 million apiece will be 327 million. Let's continue.
On how a COVID-conscious person travels. For some people, it's always March 2020.
How I travel as a COVID-conscious person. First, I use Covixol nasal spray before going to the airport, and I mask in the Uber, of course, and I always mask in the airport. When I get on the plane, I wipe down as much as I can with Clorox wipes, and
In case some of y'all slow and didn't do the math, he could give every American in the country $1 out of 327 million. $1, not $1 million.
I use my Pure Enrichment air purifier for the plane. I wait a little bit to eat after everyone else gets their snacks, and I plan to do as much of my activities outside as possible. When I get home, I wear a mask and test a few days in a row. And
Michigan, this is your warning. If we don't act now, Kamala Harris will devastate our state. Without your vote, thousands of Michigan jobs could vanish overnight. If you don't vote, crime will climb, and drugs will destroy more families. Kamala will send $1.4 billion of our tax dollars to illegals. Then give them...
that is that.
Today was a bad day for the Kamala Harris campaign. Her interview on Fox News was a train wreck, a hot mess on a number of levels. In Brett Baer, she faced a real interviewer who asked pertinent questions about the border, inflation, her record, and she floundered. She was evasive, she was incoherent, she was sometimes nonsensical. Whoever in her team thought she was ready for a real interview should be sacked immediately. Let's have a look at some of the more notable moments. I could play you the whole interview, but we don't have the time.
Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we have been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country.
More than 70%
People
of
are
people
exhausted.
tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm
I
talking
actually
about.
don't. What are you talking about?
No one knows what you're talking about, Kamala. You and Biden have been in power for almost 4 years. The Democrats have been in power 12 of the last 16 years, but everything is Donald Trump's fault, apparently. We're turning the page from Trump. Now watch here as she tries to filibuster and mislead about what the Biden-Harris administration's record on illegal immigration has been. But for once, her nonsense is called out because this interviewer knows the facts.
How many illegal immigrants would you estimate your administration has released into the country over the last?
Now that's a simple question. How many illegal immigrants do you think have entered the country? Watch our candidate.
3.5 years.
Well, I'm glad you raised the issue of immigration because I agree with you. It is a topic of discussion that people want to rightly have. And you know what I'm going to talk about.
Yeah, but
right now,
just a number. Do you think it's 1 million, 3 million?
Brett, let's just get to the point. Okay, the point is that we have a broken immigration system that needs to be repaired.
So your Homeland Security Secretary said that 85% of apprehensions.
I'm not finished. We have
it's a
an
rough
immigration
estimate of 6 million people have been released into the country. And let me just finish. I'll get to the question. I promise you.
I was beginning to answer.
And when you came into office, your administration immediately reversed a number of Trump border policies.
Within hours of taking the oath was a bill to fix our immigration system.
Yes, ma'am. It was called the U.S. Citizenship Act of 2021.
Exactly.
It was essentially a pathway to citizenship for the.
Yes, ma'am. May I finish responding, please?
But
you have to let me finish.
You
please.
had the White House and the House and the Senate,
I'm
and they didn't bring up that bill.
Responding to the point you're raising, and I'd like to finish.
Yes, ma'am.
We recognized from day one that to the point of this being your first question, it is a priority for us as a nation and for the American people.
Just waffle, no answers. She doesn't have anything significant.
And then she's pushing her attempted black girl magic with the authoritative. I'm authoritative, don't question me. I can't be held accountable because I'm right, even though I done messed up everything. That's typical. Who's going to let that run the country? Think about it.
Substantial to say about these critical issues. Now watch here as Kamala gets all heated up, ranting and raving about Trump wanting to lock up his political opponents. Isn't that precisely what the Democrats have actually been doing?
He has talked about locking people up because they disagree with him. This is a democracy. And in a democracy, the president of the United States, in the United States of America, should be willing to be able to handle criticism without saying he'd lock people up for doing it.
And on the question of emboldening and enriching the Iranian regime, this is what Harris had to say.
Critics just say that you either relaxed or failed to enforce sanctions on Iran, allowing all of this money to flow into Iran, like billions.
Let's go back to Donald Trump, who pulled out of a deal.
And the final highlight, or should that be low light, is when Brett Baer asked Kamala when she finally noticed that Joe Biden had some issues with cognitive decline. She is momentarily speechless.
You call Donald Trump, he's misguided. You say now
he's unstable. He is unstable, Brett.
He's not well. You say he's mentally not stable.
He's not stable.
Let me ask you this. You told many interviewers.
I can't help it. This is a shrew of a woman. She's a shrew of a menopausal woman. Just all hostile. No reason. Just winging it. They asked her a simple question. How many people do she think came across that border? Because she know that she was in charge of the border, she gonna start talking about everything else. This is terrible.
Joe Biden was on his game, that ran around circles on his staff. When did you first notice that President Biden's mental faculties appeared diminished?
IRS tax forgiveness now has open enrollment. It's easy to qualify. 99% of
Joe Biden, I have watched from the Oval Office to the Situation Room, and he has the judgment and the experience to do exactly what he has done in making very important decisions on behalf of the American people.
Then why are you the presidential candidate? None of it makes any sense. Joining me now is Sky News contributor Kosha Gator. Kosha, she took a big gamble being interviewed by someone like Brett Baer, who you've got to say, it's not like she was interviewed by Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson or Greg Gutfeld. You would expect that a presidential candidate could handle a tough interviewer who plays it straight down the line, and she floundered.
She did take a gamble, and that is the $1 million question. You could see she did not want to be there. She couldn't get out of there fast enough, and she did it because she has to. This race is very, very, very tight, and the momentum is with Trump. And historically, there is precedent.
So y'all really want to shame black men for not voting for this woman that's clearly a goofy, in the throes of menopause, totally irrational, and cosplaying as a black person to boot with her history. You look at Plies and D.L. Hughley and Roland Martin. What are they paying y'all to try to mislead us, to drive us off a cliff? Y'all are Judas goats.
Where the Democrat candidate begrudgingly will give one Fox News interview when there's 20, 30 days left. Obama did it, Hillary did it, it used to be with Bill O'Reilly. So maybe she has to do that because they have a big audience, a lot of independents, and actually, frankly, Democrats watch Fox News. But she was not prepared. She was not prepared. To me, the big takeaway is she remained substance-free. She does so by filibustering, using filler words. She said multiple times, let's be clear, let's be clear. She's never clear. And she hides behind others. Like she likes to hide behind the legislative branch because everything was like, I will follow the law. Congress needs to act. So she shifts blame without ever weighing in on her position. Yes, she doesn't pass laws, but she can weigh in on which laws she thinks are better or not. And she wouldn't do it, and he had her dead to rights.
And he knew the facts. When she brings up nonsense about this was the first thing we addressed and we had this bill, well, yeah, that bill was just going to create a pathway to citizenship for millions of illegal immigrants. That's not going to solve the border crisis. Right. And he knew that level of detail. And I've seen so many interviews with her where that's not followed up. There really is very frustrating to watch. Now, you might remember this, Donald Trump's debate with Kamala Harris. There was a point where one of the moderators fact-checked Donald Trump when he talked about increasing crime rates.
It's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But
excuse me, the FBI they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud.
Well, that fact check didn't age too well because the FBI has now admitted to excluding tens of thousands of crimes in their statistics, releasing massively revised crime data showing violent crime is up, not down.
Did you hear that? I want that part to stick out to you. The FBI deliberately underreported crime in major cities like Detroit, like Chicago, like New York, California, where our communities are. They underreported crime. Then told the masses to vote for the Democrats again while crime was actually up. That's dirty. That's dirty. To tell you that crime is down and not report the heinous crimes that's going on in your city, and then go national and say crime is down, and still underfunding law enforcement and programs. Can you even risk another 4 years of this?
Koshar pity the tens of millions who would have seen that debate and assumed the moderator was being accurate. That's not the case.
Yep, that's how it goes. It reminds me of just in August, the Bureau of Labor Statistics came out with a revision that the new job growth was actually overinflated by 800,000. Now this, homicides, overinflated by 80,000. And the big splashy media.
Are y'all hearing that? Employment is inflated by 800,000 jobs. Not to mention all the jobs that they gave to the immigrants. And crimes, heinous crimes, are underreported and being ignored. You can't even make this up. And you still will come out and sing this woman praises. If she actually was a black woman, I would be ashamed of her. But since she's an Indian, Hindu, cosplaying as a black woman, it's more the same old Democratic shenanigans. Did you hear those numbers though? Let's listen to some more.
Events, they will put that out there, and then there might be a small correction like this that comes out later that people will never see. Maybe Trump will find a way to get that cut through. It's either incompetence by these agencies, BLS or FBI, all the way to something more sinister, where maybe it's deliberate because they're in the business of narrative shaping rather than actually stating facts. The truth might be somewhere in between.
Well, we know back in 20, they were complicit in pushing the absolute lie, and they knew better than anyone that it was a lie, that Hunter Biden's laptop wasn't real, that it was some sort of Russian disinformation. And we saw that in the presidential debate between Biden and Trump, where Biden said it's Russian disinformation. And of course it wasn't. And that would.
Now, this is an impartial newscast because this is out of Australia. But if you notice, what they keep exposing is every time that they call Trump a lie about something. They said Trump was lying about how the pandemic originated in China. That came out to be true. He talked about the criminals would be coming across the border. They called it racist, but that turned out to be true. He told us about a deep state. We see that there has to be a deep state the way they threw the coup on Joe Biden and put Kamala as a candidate without one single vote. We ain't even got to get off into the deceased people who voted in Michigan and the flooded votes down in Georgia. They keep getting exposed as being the ones who lying. Everything that they saying about Trump is them. Weaponizing the judicial system is them. When Trump was in office, the only person he arrested and they had the Justice Department deal with was Epstein. Do y'all remember? Epstein.
Possibly made a significant difference if there was clarity around that issue.
Yep, 51 intelligence agencies. So that's where that became a headline.
Intelligence officers
who signed a letter saying that it's not correct, and people hide behind that fact. And as you said, Biden did hide behind it in the debate. Leslie Stahl famously in the 60 Minutes interview said, can't verify it. It's unverifiable. A laptop is unverifiable. And that's why Trump didn't do the 60 Minutes interview, because he never got that apology.
Now, the US Border Patrol Union has announced on behalf of its 16,000 members that it is strongly endorsing Donald Trump for president. Here's Border Patrol agent Paul Perez, who is in charge of one of the union's local chapters.
If we allow Borders R. Harris to win this election, every city, every community in this great country is going.
See, I know a lot of you Democratic shields and women, y'all voting against Border Patrol, y'all voting against the firemen, y'all voting against the police, y'all voting against your husbands, your sons, you voting against God, the Bible, you voting strictly for wickedness and debauchery, and you need to be called out on that. You really have to look at a person who is Democratic sideways at this point. They got a situation where they were showing on Twitter what actually happens in a termination of a pregnancy, how they pull out parts at a time of a fetus, how they use clamps, and then when you squeeze the clamp, it crushes the brain, and you can, and when the matter, white matter runs out, you know that was the infant's brain. I mean, like, you wicked. You really wicked. It's on Twitter where they actually describe what the termination of pregnancies consist of: having an entire life scraped from inside of you. And then you go against scripture and the word. There is no way that a man should think that he could tell you what to do or you would obey him when you won't obey God or nature. This is sinister. And Kamala would be the perfect person to rule over Babylon's ultimate end and destruction, because she fits the bill. She fits the bill. She is one of them, sleeping with married men, and screwing her way to the top, manipulation of men and using her looks. She is one of them. She should be their president. But we just can't let her run this country. They have to go somewhere else and do that. They really do. Let me let you see the end of it.
How important is this endorsement? And it's been very interesting to see the union movement, who is remaining with the Democrats. You expect them all to be with the Democrats, and which ones are not endorsing either candidate, and with it, a few that are siding with Trump.
I think there's a cumulative effect with all these endorsements. On a micro level, generally, I think endorsements, the media covers them a lot. I don't know how much they shift voters, whether it's Taylor Swift or whether it's, a person over here. However, cumulatively, it does matter because you get an overall picture of where the mood of the country is, and different figures, cultural figures or leaders in this case of law enforcement coming in. And it's just a reminder that because the Border Patrol has endorsed Trump every time he's run now, 16 and 20, his signature issue is immigration and the border. That is what put him in the White House in 2016. And the Kamala campaign is trying to somehow claim that issue and say that she's the only one who's prosecuted transnational, that line that she keeps saying of people crossing the border. It's flat, it's falling flat. And this endorsement, I think, sort of is just one more thing that lays that bare that she's not the one who's strong on the border, he is.
And the Trump camp has put out yet another ad. This one's got attention.
Kamala supports taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners.
Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners, every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access.
Hell no, I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to that.
Kamala supports transgender sex changes in jail with our money.
Kamala even supports letting biological men compete against our girls in their sports. Kamala is for they, them. President Trump is for you.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
These ads are colorful. How impactful?
I'm going to end on that note. Shout out to Sky News Australia. Think about that. This woman is so diabolical that she is offering gender changes in prison. Like a prison, she's changing the male prisoners into women prisoners. She wants to change the gender of children that's 10 years old. 11-year-old trans. 10-year-old trans. The board, this is crazy. The very fact that you will vote for her and vote for these policies tell me that you are luciferic, nefarious, and under the pull of Satan. You should not get in anybody's comments. You should really be ashamed of yourself. You should really just be knowing that you're a disgusting individual. Late term, 8 month termination of a pregnancy, a whole baby. Gender reassigning your children. Gender reassigning prisoners in prison while the border swings open like a kicked in back door. Y'all will vote for this lady, a red dot Indian, when she's telling you what her policies are. Are you with that? Is that what you really voting for? That's what you want, huh? That's what you want. I know that's what you want. Standing to you out of Detroit. This is Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit. Support the nonprofit Detroit's Black Thought and Ash Collective. Cash App is in the description. Salute to all patriots. Keep your head on the swivel. Think about what they really want. Think about what these Democrats want. And they want to do it to your children. Peace.